Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sanford Khan, business author speaker. The title of this YouTube presentation is Discover All the Wisdom of the World Contained in 9 Words. Seems like an impossibility, but it isn't. It's actually very simple. Let's start off with a story. People like to be entertained, including yourself and also me. Back in around 1300 AD, there was an old English king that was coming to the end of his reign. He had on his shelf 7 volumes that contained all the wisdom of the world, known at that time. He wanted to pass that wisdom on to his serfs who toiled 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week in the fields. Obviously, they couldn't read all the 7 volumes, and this is well before the printing press. So he told the scribes to reduce the wisdom of the world, all the wisdom of the world contained in the 7 volumes, down to something shorter that my serfs could read before I pass on, and hence they'll remember me long after I'm gone. So fine, the scribes went away, came back in a month, and they reduced all the wisdom of the world down to 3 volumes. The king said, well, that's great, but not good enough. What I want you to do is reduce it down more. They hemmed and hawed, but he's the king, and it's good to be king, and you don't argue with the king. So they went away. Another month passed, came back. All the wisdom of the world down to 1 volume. King said, they're not going to read that. They can't even read that good anyways. So this is what I want you to do, as he told the scribes. I want you to take all the wisdom of the world and reduce it down to 1 sentence. 1 sentence. The scribes really hem and hawed, but again, don't argue with the king. No way. They went away. Another month passed. The scribes came back. The head scribe smiled at the king and said, Sire, we reduce all the wisdom in those 7 volumes down to 1 sentence. He said, great. What is it? So the head scribe reached into his pocket, opened the note, smiled, gave it to the king. King looked at it, and this is what it said. All the wisdom in the world down to 1 sentence. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Now, I'm not the scribe back then. So what I did is I put it down like this. There's your free lunch, a nice salmon lunch, grilled salmon. There's no such thing as a free lunch. That's all the wisdom in the world down to 1 sentence. Somebody or something always has to pay. Always has to pay. It may not be you, but somebody or something has to pay. I'll give you a quick example since I'm in the economic business field. We had the COVID crisis from 2020 to 2022, the brunt of it. Both the Trump administration and the Obama administration in the U.S. flooded the economy with money. They sent checks out to people. They sent checks out. I think those two massive distribution of checks. They flooded the economy with money. The broad money supply, known as M2, but just think of it as broad money supply, at the peak increased 25% year over year. Well, production of goods and services didn't increase 25%. So guess what happens when you flood the economy with money? You're giving it to people, and the money supply goes up faster than the production of goods and services. Guess what happens to prices? They go up. They go up. There's also something else. The government, in this case the U.S. government, but other governments the same thing. The rules apply. The U.S. government took on massive quantities of debt. And they still are taking on massive quantities of debt because deficit spending is still increasing. Well, it's fine. You took on massive quantities of debt. As long as interest rates are low, you could afford it. Now interest rates in the United States and also in other countries are going up. What happens? The interest cost on that debt is starting to go up, and it's going to go up geometrically. As interest rates go up, the interest expense will go up. Not only on existing debt, but you're adding to the debt, and it's going to go up geometrically, and it's going to crowd out other spending. So eventually politicians, being politicians, will say, well, we got to increase taxes to pay for all these social programs because the interest on the debt is crowding out expenses. And that'll happen. That's the price you pay. There are no free lunches. There are no free lunches, my friends, none. Anyways, I spoke long enough. I have a favor to ask of you. Please subscribe to my channel. Until we meet again, good luck, stay liquid, and may you prosper. Take care.